Pokemon has had very little changes to the formula over the years, primarily playing as this turn-based catch-em-all RPG. But what if someone did change the formula? Introducing Pokerogue, the browser-based roguelite experience of playing a Pokemon game. Now, first off, you might be wondering, what the heck is a roguelite? In the simplest terms, it's a game that randomizes dungeons or encounters. When a run is lost, it forces you to start all over, with some of your progression carrying over. Think of something like Hades or Balatro. So when you start this game for the first time, you are given any of the starters to pick from every generation. But there's a point system of 10 points. And you can see each Pokemon is worth X amount of points, depending on how good or how crappy the Pokemon is. I have a few runs already, so I decided for this run that we're going to show, I wanted to choose the starters of a Ralts, Fuecoco, and a Feebas. For Pokemon like Feebas that need evolutionary items, they're random, and they can take 5 battles, they can take 50 battles. It's all just a matter of chance in this game. After picking your starter, you're thrown into a battle with a wild Pokemon, and you'll see when you win any battle, afterwards you're prompted with items to pick from, along with a store of items that have things like potions and revives that you might need throughout your run. These items that spawn at random, you can also reroll, but early on your money is a lot more finite and it's important not to use, so you probably don't want to reroll. After you finish getting your items, you get immediately thrown back into another battle with the same Pokemon you already had out. You can swap it if it's not a good matchup, but when it's a trainer battle, you won't be prompted with that option, so it's important to know when some of the important battles are. So, we finish up our third battle, and... Oh! Wow, that was fast! Well, I did say it could take 5 or 50 battles, but even I was still wrong on that. That evolution, plus its egg move bouncy bubble for, a melodic... Oh, yeah. Pokerogue also gives some Pokemon more unique egg moves not found in the mainline games. That combination makes for a very strong early game Pokemon. The first rival battle comes, and the rival will always have one randomized starter, and then one randomized early game bird. For this run, it is a Trico and a Pidgey, which honestly isn't that bad for us because we have Fuecoco for Trico, and there are many more annoying early game birds that they could have had, like Fletchling later on. So we get through our rival battle pretty easily, and we get to our first boss battle. The boss Blipbug. These Pokemon have shields kind of like a raid battle in Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet, and they prevent you from being able to easily one-shot people, barring stat boosts. But it's a Blipbug, so Milotic can easily take it down. Also, at the end of every 10th floor, your team is fully healed for free. We sleep through the next set of floors, taking on a boss Lopunny. Not that it was a tough battle, I kind of just figured there was somebody out there that really wanted to see Lopunny. Now, before we battle our first gym, something to note, the biome that you are fighting in will also dictate the gym leader you're battling in. So you can see this biome that I'm battling in is this like wet marshy area, so I'm more likely to battle a water type gym leader. We do randomly find a Flamigo here, which I guess kind of makes sense because you can find it in marshy lands in Scarlet and Violet, but still. I opt to catching it, making it the 4th member of our team before our next rival battle. Hello, Finn. Welcome back. Because Melodic was the last Pokemon out, it was forced to lead against Grovyle, so I swapped the Flamigo to sacrifice it. Bringing in the Flamigo safely, but the rival AI does switch out into Relicanth. A bit more swapping around and taking too much damage, I decided to just keep Melodic in against the Relicanth, which takes it down, and then the Fuecoco comes in against the Grovyle, wins, and... Oh yeah, Pokemon can also evolve mid-battle too. So I end up keeping in the Crocodile to defeat the Pidgeotto, beating the rival for the second time. I then catch a Magikarp right before the gym battle, which will be nice because I can evolve it into a Gyarados shortly. We battle our first gym leader in Crasher Wake, who has 3 Pokemon, but they're all honestly pretty weak, including a Magikarp, so we kind of just breeze through here. On the next set of floors, nothing really of importance happens, aside from I decide to catch a Drillbur for the 5th member of our team. The boss of floor 40, though, is an Archaludon, which I really want to catch. And I tried for a little bit, but... No! All that hard work for it. You know, we're to tell ourselves I didn't need that Pokemon. On floor 50, we battle the boss Toxicroak, which I end up catching to replace Flamigo. The next rival battle comes at floor 55. By now our team is fully evolved minus Crocolore, and it's honestly pretty powerful. So I'm pretty confident going into it. We lead Excadrill, as they still have a Grovyle, so I swap into Toxicroak, and then back into Excadrill against the Pidgeot, taking it down. Crocolore then evolves into Skeledirge, and I swap into the Toxicroak, and then back into Excadrill against the Pidgeot. Crocolore evolves after we take down the Pidgeot. I swap into the Toxicroak to finish off the Grovyle, leaving the rest of the team of a Frigibax and a Relicanth to go down relatively swiftly. Our second gym leader we face is Crest, another water-type gym leader who I underestimated, and honestly did a lot of damage to me, but we still come through and get the full heal. Now, at this point, I think it's important to talk about how stat boosting works in Pokerogue. They move like Torch Song, where every use powers up your special attack is even stronger in Pokerogue, because stat boosts will persist as long as you don't switch out of the battle. Now, switching out does count for a treater battle when it leads you into the battle, so you can't carry 6 Dragon Dances into a major battle, but it makes a lot of these other floors more trivial at this point because I can just kind of spam Torch Song. That being said, floor 70 boss is a Jump Pluff and gets one shot thanks to all those stat boosts from Skeledirge, and we breeze through the battle. You can also see that I have a map item. The map allows me to pick between an option of biomes, and knowing that I'm pretty happy with my team right now, I decide to plan around going to areas that'll have easy Pokemon for me to KO and lead me to having better gym leaders to battle for my type matchups. On floor 90, we end up battling Berg, the bug-type gym leader, and talking about those stat boosts and the map pick really just made Skeledirge be able to Torch Song everything and just sweep through really easily. The next major thing that's going to happen here is our rival battle on floor 95. You'll notice something different starting on here. It's another feature in the game that is the equivalent of like a permanent Terra typing. So you see this is a Terra boosted Grass Sceptile. It switches though as I had set myself up for a Skeledirge as Relicanth comes in to eat a Torch Song. I swap into Melodic as they swap back to Sceptile. I go into Gyarados, who I think can take a Leaf Storm, but I am wrong. So I opt to sack it here for the safe switch to go back into Melodic, as it had used already 2 Leaf Storms, so its special attack has gone down a bit. After a couple turns, I swap into Torterra, and a Pidgeot comes out, so we bring out Excadrill as they go into Garchomp. I opt to sacrifice it because nothing really wants to take a hit from Garchomp, but they decided to click Dig, a move where when somebody clicks Earthquake, you do double damage to the opponent.
Oh, that is beautiful.
So I end up one-shotting this Garchomp as Sceptile comes out, and I can swap into Skeledirge, taking a hit as I click Shadow Ball, predicting a Relicanth switch. Now I can go into Torterra, who catches Sceptile on the switch and finishes them with a Headlong Rush. As Metagross comes out from the rival, Melodic is able to take them down, and the Rockfish for the win. Our next gym battle comes on floor 120 against Janine, the Poison Leader. A pretty good matchup for the team that I built, though, and after a bit of switching around, I can finally put Skeledirge in a position to Torch Song and finish off the battle. On to, arguably, one of, if not the toughest fights for a new player in this game. Floor 145, the Rival Battle. Starting here, major battles can have certain Pokemon on their teams having the shield effect, kinda like the raid battles. So, the battle starts with a Terra Grass Sceptile having the shield and a grassy terrain of all things. I lead Gardevoir, which isn't ideal, so I go into Skeledirge, as for some reason it decides to actually go into Metagross. I Torch Song as Relicanth comes out. I go into Torterra, click Headlong Rush as a shiny Rayquaza comes out, with those same exact boss shields. I go into Gardevoir hoping for a Dragon move to come out, and the Rayquaza used Hurricane, which thankfully misses as Metagross comes out. So, I bring in Excadrill, predict the Pidgeot to come in, as I use Rock Slide, nearly finishing it off before Rayquaza comes in. Excadrill takes down 1 bar of health, and then I have to swap it back into Gardevoir. I try to predict a switch and go for Mystical Fire, but it stays in, and I decide to click Moonblast, taking it down. Metagross comes out as I swap into Excadrill to eat the Hyper Beam, and then because Metagross is recharging, Excadrill can finish it off. Sceptile comes out, Skeledirge comes in, and then it's another Shadow Ball. After a bit of switching, I can get my Gyarados in against Relicanth to click Waterfall and finish it off. Garchomp comes in as I use Ice Fang, and then Gardevoir gets to sweep everything else. That ends up being the furthest run that I've had at this point, so everything after this will be new to me. We get 2-hour gym battle on floor 150 against Ramos, who's a grass type, and you know what's gonna happen here. The next day I start up where we left off, and by the time we get over to floor 167, we get something exciting. Now, Mega Evolution in this game can be permanent if you want it to. The only way you swap off of it is by doing it in the menu, where you opt out pretty much. Our last gym leader comes on floor 180 as we battle Rhyme and her ghost types. She leads Goldango as I lead Mega Gyarados. I go for one Dragon Dance as Mimikyu comes in, but since Mega Gyarados has the Mold Breaker ability, which ignores all other Pokemon abilities, Disguise is now useless, and Waterfall takes it down in one hit. However, it had a Reviver Seed, which revives the fainted Pokemon half HP. Thankfully, Gyarados survives, and it's able to sweep out the rest of the team here. Now we get to the final 20 floors, and the next 10 will be a test on how well you've built your team, as we're going to be taking on the Elite Four and the Champion. We're greeted by Rika, who begins sending out her ground types for Mega Gyarados to sweep through really easily. Now, you know, because we battle Rika, that we're going to be battling the Paldea Elite Four, as I do like to keep that consistent here. So, Poppy is next, who easily gets handled by Excadrill this time. People's Champ Larry comes out next, who proves to be a much tougher battle, but ultimately goes down without knocking anybody else out. Lastly, before our champion is Hassel, the Dragon Master. But those dragons ought to be afraid of Gardevoir as they moonblast through everything, bringing us to the champion, Gita. Wait, Kieran? I mean, okay, didn't expect that. This might be a little tougher. He leads with an Ice Cue, as I have Mystical Fire on Gardevoir, who can two-shot it. A Terapagos comes out, and I'm thinking, oh, this Pokemon's not that strong. And I click Calm Mind, and Gardevoir gets one shot. I bring out Skeledirge as a Politoed is swapped in, but it can't do enough damage to the Skeledirge, and I Torch Song, powering up my special attack 1, 2, 3 as Skeledirge begins to sweep through Kieran's team, and a rather underwhelming champion fight. But what? I know there's more here. I feel like there's something coming. Something stronger. Something that would make everything else here feel like light work. We get to 191, and I'm immediately met with an Iron Boulder in front of me, which I'm not even allowed to capture. I can feel the challenge starting to spike, but I take it down, along with a Great Tusk, Slitherwing, and an Iron Moth. When I beat the Iron Moth, I'm thankfully gifted a Gardevoirite, just in time for our arrival. I have a bad matchup, which proves to be an early problem as I need to switch Excadrill out for Skeledirge, who nearly gets one-shot by the Leaf Storm. I predict the switch into Relicanth, doubling into my Torterra, and I go for Headlong Rush as a Mega Rayquaza comes out. Switching back to Excadrill as it goes for Fly, I go for Rock Slides, taking 1 bar of its health down as it gets a defense boost from the berry. It goes for a Hurricane, which misses, and I connect with another Rock Slide. However, because of that defense boost, I don't take it down to another shield. I then decide I want to go for Swords Dance, which ends up being a bad choice as an Outrage comes out. But it locks into Outrage, allowing me to swap into Gardevoir. I go for a Calm Mind. Metagross ends up coming out after the Outrage, and Mystical Fire one-shots and goes down at 1 hit. Sceptile comes out as I Mystical Fire, taking down 2 bars of health. Gardevoir ends up living a hit and finishes off the Sceptile with another Mystical Fire as Pidgeot comes out. Nearly finishing off Gardevoir, I decide to go back into Excadrill, who goes down but allows me to swap Gyarados in for free, click Dragon Dance 2 times, and sweep for the rest of the team. The rival has been beaten. 5 floors left. 5 floors left. The real final boss is coming. We full heal and mentally prepare for what's next. The Gouging Fire, Iron Boulder, Screamtail, and another Iron Moth are no match for me. The final battle. Eternatus appeared. It appears the time has finally come. You know why you have come here, do you not? You were drawn here because you have been here before, countless times. Though perhaps it can't be counted. To be precise, this is in fact your 5,643,853rd cycle. Each cycle, your mind reverts to its former state. Even so, somehow, remnants of your former self remain. Until now, you have yet to succeed, but I sense a different presence in you this time. You are the only one here, though it's as if another. Will you finally prove a formidable challenge to me? The challenge I have longed for a millennia? We begin. I go into Excadrill. I go for 2 Swords Dance as they click Eterna Beam, putting it in the recharge state as I click Earthquake, taking it down to 1 bar of health. Except, it's a 2-phase battle. Now we have to face Eternamax Eternatus. And we have a 2 versus 1 against it. And, sadly, the stat boosts are reset between phases. I swap out Excadrill to Milotic and start spamming Torch Song to maybe get some special attack boosts. Doing little to no damage as they go for Flamethrower onto Milotic. After a couple turns, it decides to click Dynamax Cannon on Milotic, which I had a Reviver Seed and comes back to half HP. I get 1 bar of HP down, and I go for Recover on Milotic as they attack Skeletor with Cross Poison. Another turn comes as I take down another bar of its HP and it clicks Recover. The good news is, though, those HP bars don't stop on the tick marks of the bar of health again. Milotic takes its last stand as its Dynamax Cannon and blown back as we bring in Eternatus. Down 2 bars of health, I bring out Excadrill as the next sacrifice, hoping for a Flamethrower so Skeletor can keep hammering away at it with Shadow Ball. Which ends up working, and I decide to repeat the same logic in bringing in my Torterra, which Flamethrowers again, and I'm allowed to bring it down to another bar, this time 1 bar of HP left. I bring in Mega Gardevoir as it gets destroyed by a Cross Poison, and Eternatus nearly dies to a Shadow Ball. 1 turn left and I should win. Out comes our Mega Gyarados, our last 2 Pokemon. Dynamax Cannon comes, takes down our Gyarados, and with that, our starter, Skeletor, hits their Hyper Voice as our last remaining Pokemon, surviving the battle and beating Pokerogue. Oh! Okay! We did it! Magnificent. It was doable. It was doable. God, the fact that it took Only, we didn't truly win. I actually lost this battle a lot. But I didn't want to leave this team I had grown so attached to. I knew they could do it, and I wanted to see them be able to accomplish this and see it through. Even if it wasn't in the spirit of a roguelite, it was my experience, my joy of building the team and trying them out. So maybe I didn't beat it as intended, but in the end of the day, aren't games just about how you have fun and the joy that it brings you? I feel proud of this team despite the resets, but next time, there won't be any resets, as I'll be trying to Nuzlocke this game. And if you want to see that, be sure to stop by my Twitch stream, and remember, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Take care.